Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Unquestionably Raw. Tonight, we are previewing the Philadelphia 76ers, and we're covering the 2016-2017 season preview for them. Joining us is our special guest tonight, Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Of course, you guys know the panel. We've got DJ Gonzo Star, we've got Mike Morris back again, and we've got Matt Miller and myself. So, Keith, we're going to roll right to you with first question. The 76ers made some changes this offseason, some for the better, some for the worse. Kind of breaking down the team's depth chart with Joel Embiid coming back from injury, Dario Saric finally coming overseas, or coming from overseas. That front court mix is a little bit crowded, so let's start by talking about the front court as far as depth chart goes. How do you see that playing out?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, right now it just seems like with the front court, you're going to have Ben Simmons at the power forward playing the point forward, but you're going to have someone who's very compatible to him. And I think that starting off, you need like a rim protector. Now, in a perfect world, I believe that you start Joel Embiid alongside him. However, if he's playing on a minute restriction, do you want to utilize most of those minutes early in the first quarter? So I would say like maybe a Nerlens Noel starting alongside him, just because Nerlens a rim protector and he dunks the ball, so to speak. But other than that, I think you would bring Jahlil Okafor off the bench. I think Dario may not get as many minutes as people think, just because Ben Simmons is going to play more than 30 minutes a game, and he and Dario are so similar that I think you have to go small ball in order to get them on the court for an extended period of time.
Okay. What do you think as far as basically with Dario being up front, with Ben Simmons, and then of course you've got Robert Covington? Can you see kind of Covington kind of maybe even in a bigger lineup kind of sliding down to the 2, and you put either Simmons or Saric at the small forward?
See, you know what? I for a minute, I was like, oh, maybe that might be a good lineup, but I don't think that Dario right now can guard 3. And Simmons, maybe I don't see him doing that as well. I mean, I see him offensively, probably, pushing tempo if they want to go small, or you want to get Dario on the floor and you say, okay, Ben, you can play the 1. But I just don't see Dario guarding threes in the NBA. I see him more as a rebounder, a hustle guy, but I don't think that he can guard threes. No, I don't see that one.
Okay. We'll get back to the backcourt in a second, but I want to roll through, get everybody's opinion. Gonzo, I'm going to go to you. With the front court kind of depth that the Sixers have, if you were basically Brian Colangelo and Brett Brown, what would you see as far as the best combination for that front court?
I'm going to agree with Keith on one thing. They definitely need a rim protector. I will probably put, like I said, Nerlens Noel. I would have him as probably the center. Me personally, I like Jahlil, and the only reason I say Jahlil, I say start Jahlil at power forward, or swap the 2 around, put Jahlil at center and put Nerlens Noel at power forward. The only reason I say this is because we've seen what Jahlil Okafor can do. He's a good low post guy with decent fundamentals on the block. He can create himself a shot in the post. I haven't seen. I really can't say that Joel Embiid can do these things at the moment because I haven't seen him play an NBA game yet. So if I'm just going off just the lineup now, I would probably have Jahlil at my center, Nerlens at my power forward. I would have Robert Covington maybe at small forward. Okay. That would probably be my top 3.
Okay. What do you think, Mike?
I just think it's part of like the philosophy they have coming into the season. What are they going to do with it? Because I don't know if I can put Nerlens at the 5 for a whole season, because it's going to end up right back at the bottom of the list, even though they'll be better than Brooklyn, but still. Okay. So, like, if you start Jahlil and put Nerlens in there together, that's 4 or 5. but that would mean you starting Ben at the 3, which could be a possibility. You know, they want to put him out there as being the next big thing, but I don't know. You really want to have one rim protector, even though Jalil is 7-footer, he's not that great at protecting the rim. So if you put Embiid out there with Sarge and Ben, you can make a big splash with a big lineup instead of having to always go small, because there's going to be more athletic and more talented teams playing small ball.
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
Man, as far as the starting big man, that's tough. I actually, if he's ready to go, I throw Joel Embiid out there. Trust the process. They've been waiting for it. Put him out there. Let's see what he can do. I know he's going to be on. He'll have his nights off. Probably won't play back-to-backs and all that good stuff. But I'd go with him. And at the 4, you can put Noel in there at the 4. Embiid, you know, it doesn't matter 4 or 5. Just, you know, at the 3, man, I'd go Ben Simmons. I'll say Ben Simmons, even though I think he's going to do a lot of ball handling for him. And so essentially he's the point guard. So you really don't have to have a great point guard in there if Simmons is really going to be the one to get everything going. Because I don't see one guy on their team who really is going to just set things up in the half court. They're going to try to get up and just go. Even like they did last year. They were just up and down. And so I think that's where Ben Simmons is going to be at his best in transition, pushing the rock, getting everyone involved. So you could throw him in there at the 3.
Okay.
And I think then off the bench, bring Okafor, you know, big time scorer off the bench, and then you got Sarge, see what he can do at the NBA level.
Okay. I'm kind of with you in the sense that I like Noel at you know, kind of in there, kind of anchoring the defense. I want to see what Embiid can do, but I also I'm kind of leaning towards what Gonzo said. You know, I haven't seen him in an NBA game. I want to know that he's healthy, that he's able to produce on a nightly basis. Seeing him cross dudes up, you know, cross a 5'9" white guy in basically a workout video, you know, everybody's hyped about it, but I want to see it against actual true. He's 7'2" now, so I want to see him do it against legit 7-footers, and get that kind of speed angle, and be able to kind of, you know, dream shake his way to some points. But I think Noel, for me, anchoring the defense there. You have Okafor anchoring the second unit as the big-time scorer there. You have Simmons at the 4 because I think he creates a mismatch being kind of that point forward, and then Covington there to be your outside shooter because now as we roll into the backcourt, there's not much shooting there. And Keith, I want to go to you to break down the backcourt and kind of see what you think as far as the minutes shaking out might be.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, you know, right now you would think that Jarrett Bayless and Gerald Henderson would be your starting, you know, 1-2. And the thing about that is, you know, you're looking at Bayless and, you know, he's a guy who started some minutes last year, but typically he's known as a kind of like a spark guy that comes off the bench, gives you a couple stretches. But, you know, right now it just seems like that he may be their best fit. You know, I mean, I really can't talk about Sergio Rodriguez or Fernandez right now because I really don't know him. Like, you know, this is a guy who was in the NBA before and guys just kept running past him. And, you know, I know he looked well in his role in the Olympics, but at the same time, I mean, there are certain guys who were in the NBA, foreigners, who can't do anything in the league, and they look like superstars in the Olympics. So that's not really a true barometer. But I think that those two, Bayless and Henderson, they have to be the starting, you know, backcourt. Now, T.J. McConnell, I know that Brett Brown really likes him, not as a starter, but as an energy guy, a change of pace. And I think that he'll get some minutes. But the key is what do you do with a guy like a Hollis Thompson, you know, a Nick Stauskas. You know, Nick Stauskas is a guy who they were trying to trade twice, you know, and they couldn't get trade bait for him. And Hollis is a guy who doesn't have a guaranteed contract, and he could be expendable. But he is a shooter, and they do need shooters. So that has a lot of question marks as well.
Okay. What do you think, Gonzo?
Backcourt, It's one thing in the backcourt that kind of shocks me a little bit. Like you got a lot of guys that say Joel Embiid is a decent low post player. He wasn't at Kansas, from what I see. Robert Covington is a good shooter. And the point I'm trying to make is when I come to you got a lot of guys who can score. It kind of worries me because if you put Jerry Billis at point guard, he's more or less like what Keith says. He's like a spark plug off the bench. He's the offensive guy. I would have liked to seen them. Hopefully, possibly late in the season, they could possibly make a trade or something and get a point guard, a true point guard. But honestly, I'm gonna tell you something. This is something I've thought this since. If they talked about Ben Simmons, I would honestly play Ben Simmons at point guard. Like, shake things up. Like last year, if you look at what Giannis Antetokounmpo did when they moved him to the point guard position, like the Bucks got a whole lot better. His point average went up. His assist averages went up. He was getting triple doubles quite often. So he kind of moved him in a direction that I didn't really see him playing the point, but he was doing a lot of good things at the point guard position. I think Ben can do that, and if you move Ben to the point guard position, you open up room for somebody else you open up room to get another shooter at the small forward position. You can keep Covington there, and you could possibly get another shooter at the shooting guard position too as well. So I like Ben. I want to see Ben play the point.
Okay. Okay. What do you think, Mike?
If you put Ben at the point, you still need a couple little dudes to play some D because it's a guard-driven league, and you're in a conference full of them. You run up in the Knicks with Ben Simmons guarding Derrick Rose, or whoever you think you sliding in at the 2 spot that's a shooter. It's going to be a long night, even with a not official old D Rose. And with this group, you're right. Like Jared Bayless is a spark off the bench, and in NBA years, he's getting up there. And not to say that he's not talented and can't play, but to lead your team, it's not going to happen. And you need more shooting out there, which you're really not getting with TJ or Sergio. So it's going to be rough to figure it out in the beginning. But I would go with Sergio to start, just because he can run the floor with you. It's nice to have TJ after what he did last year, but if that's your second leading three-point shooter with the mid-30s, lower 30s, you're not going to stretch very far. And with Gerald Henderson starting, you got a nice defensive guy. You set the tone up front because it's a heavy guard league getting into the lane when you're running up against a D-Wade down the street. And the next night you got Paul George who's going to come off that wing like he's going to be an animal. You really want Ben Simmons risking that in that first half? It's going to be hard dealing with that, especially since Stauskas is not proven to be what they thought he would be in the top 10.
All right. What do you think, Matt?
I totally agree. I think, with their backcourt, I think they've, like Keith said, they're probably going to go with Bayless to start, I think, especially if Simmons is going to have the ball in his hands a lot, because now you could just spot Bayless up on the wing. And, when we saw last year with the Bucks, he knocked down shots. What'd he shoot, 42% from 3? So we know he can do that. At the 2, my guess would be Gerald Henderson. He's going to play some defense, good team player, can get out, pretty athletic guy, even though he is getting a little older. So I think that's what they'll go with. And then off the bench, let's see what Sergio can do. I mean, what's his contract?
It's a 1-year, $8 million, right?
Yeah, see, they're going to play him. They're not paying him one to sit on be the third point guard. Yeah. So Sergio's definitely going to play. I think TJ will end up being that third point guard for him. If a guy gets hurt, doesn't play well, you throw him in there. And then Covington, I think, would be big with his outside shooting. He can play the 2 or the 3. But I think that's one of the big things. It's going to be shooting with that backcourt right now. And you got to get some guys who can defend, which is where a guy we haven't talked about comes in, Grant.
Yeah.
Because we know he can block shots, get out on the perimeter, lock guys down. He's going to be big for them.
He's one of the guys. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
So I figure he's more of a 3 spot. He's about 6'8", 6'9", runs the floor really well. Mm-hmm. He might occasionally get dunked on, but he can return that favor as well.
Yes.
And we also forget about that Luau kid, the overseas product.
Yeah, Timothy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he can provide something early on, get a spark going, prove that he can be a D and 3 guy. I know it's going to be a stretch with the 3 part, but he's real athletic and get up the floor, lock up a little bit.
If Thabo Cephalosha can learn to shoot 3s, I think he'll be fine.
But you know something though, guys, I think that the guys who you talked about, Covington, Jeremy Grant. These are guys who the Sixers, like, they were always thinking about once we get good, we want these guys to come off the bench and have specific roles. And with that said, I can see that. I can see Covington, maybe not starting because they want to play those other guys just to see what they have in them. But I can see, because they feel like Covington's not going to be a starter down the road. So why not bring him off the bench as a six-minute man? Why not have Jeremy Grant be your designated stopper, so to speak? He's not getting a lot of points, but he's long, he's athletic. So just go in there and guard and defend. You know what I mean? Like, we go small ball, do this. And Matt raised a great point. What's going to happen is Ben Simmons he's going to start off at the 4, but they do want him to become a point guard. And, you asked the question, well, if he's kind of the point guard, who's going to defend the point guards? And that's where Bayless comes in. They think that, Bayless is going to be able to guard points. And on the defensive end, you can have Ben like playing the 4. Like, it's going to be a crazy, mismatched defense. But Ben can play the 4. He gets the ball in transition and runs. And Gerald spots up and shoots the 3. So he's kind of like a point guard in name only. He's actually going to be a 2 guard, and Ben's going to be listed as a power forward, but he's going to be a point guard. So, that's the plan for the Sixers.
Okay. I think I'm very disappointed, I will say, in Nick Stauskas. I thought he was going to, get a chance with Philly last season, finally show something. That confidence is just shot, and I think that basically he's overmatched on the defensive end as most average white guys are when they get to the NBA.
But, he's pretty. The thing is, Stauskas has got a little bounce to him. He's kind of an underrated athlete.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. That's what's weird. You think, but his lateral movement, I think, is what he does not move well laterally.
No. And I worry about his roster spot, to be honest, because Elton Brand, was signed to the 1-year deal. He's basically going to be the veteran presence in the locker room again, because they ended up waiving Carl Landry. So I think correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, but I think him coming in, he is just there to be that voice and just kind of hold that locker room together with so many young guys.
Right.
And then with Sergio Rodriguez, I worry about. That's why I say not to start him, because he cannot defend. If he can't defend in Europe, he's going to get burned again in the U.S. because he was a turnstile in New York and Portland, his previous stops, and people forget that he also played with Gerald Bayless in Portland, so they probably have a little bit of chemistry off of each other. Basically, you've got a passing point guard in Rodriguez that can knock down the occasional spot-up 3, and then you've got Bayless who can kind of energize basically as that 2 guard that basically takes the looks that are open and can create his own shot. So it'll definitely be interesting come training camp how those roles kind of flesh out and go as the season moves on. Rolling to the next question, I want to talk about the expectations overall for the 76ers, not only in the Eastern Conference, but their division. Just kind of where they stack up. I personally don't think that they're going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference this season. Keith, I'm going to roll to you. What do you think just the expectations are?
I don't think they'll be the worst. I think that's going to be Brooklyn.
Absolutely.
But, it's going to be hard for a team. Like, you hear in Philadelphia that people are saying, hey, they're going to win 30 games. Well, it's hard for going to 10 to 30. And, you have to be really realistic. I mean, Ben Simmons in the summer league, he looked great, but he's still going to be a rookie trying to learn the game, the NBA game. Embiid, we don't know anything about Embiid. Yes, like you said, he looks good on the video, but that's against a guy who's 5'9", 5'10". We don't know. And Dario, is kind of still like an unknown. They're all rookies. So we don't know. And they're the only – and then you got these other veterans coming in like Bayless, Gerald Henderson. They're good players. They're complementary players, but none of these guys are superstars. So, I mean, I don't Oh man, I think they'll probably win 22 to 23 games. I mean, and I think that's a lot compared to what they've done in the past. But I don't see them getting 28 to 30 wins. Nah, not this year.
Okay. What do you think, Gonzo? Where do you kind of have them slotted?
They won't be the worst in the NBA. I think they might just surprise people. They might actually be competitive in a lot of games. They won't win out at the end. I think it's because they probably don't have like a lot of veteran guys uh, that can really like push them over the hump. I think they're just right now they're young. The main thing is get chemistry down, define the roles and just kind of figure out who's going to be doing what. Uh, but they won't be the worst. I got them like I'm with Keith on this. They might get 22, 23 wins. I can see them getting that.
Okay. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I guess it's a unanimous pick that the Nets will be down there at the bottom solidly. But, as far as, toward the end of games with playoff experience, you got Henderson and Bayless. They got a little veteran issue right there. Not issue, but, some leadership in those close games. It's just going to be a matter of, is losing going to catch up to them? It's going to hurt them enough to where they won't be able to get over that hump. 30 would be a stretch. They have to get real fortunate for 30. But, it's going to be, to me, like when Lamar Odom ran that point for the Clippers. That experiment early on might hurt them a little bit, but they're going to be learning along the way. It's still going to be a process with everybody involved. With the unproven rookies, you're getting basically 3 high-value rookies that people are talking about with Sarge, Embiid, and Simmons. It's just going to be a big deal of, can you take the growing pains? Because it's going to get hard around All-Star break when maybe you've lost 10 straight. Maybe you lost 15 straight. What are you going to do? Are they going to fold up? Are they going to keep talking about next year when you got guys that are fighting for contracts this year? It's just going to be hard to see 30, but I can go with 20.
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
As far as win prediction, I'll say 25, but I think a lot. I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, I know it's going to sound crazy. If they won 30, I would not be shocked, only for this reason. If we remember, I believe they were in quite a few close games last year, and they just couldn't finish it off. They have a lot more talent this year. And we know, talent can mean a lot in the NBA. So it wouldn't shock me. I don't think they'll do it. But I think 25 wins. And I think, like Gonzo said, they're going to be super competitive. And they're going to get out and run. They're going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a lot like last year's Minnesota team. Really exciting to watch.
League Pass alert. That's going to be
absolutely. This is going to be must-see TV on League Pass, yes.
There you go. I'll say that. I basically had them 20, 21 wins. Because I think that's a big step forward for them. Then they can take that next step, 10 more wins the following season, and kind of build from there. I still think they're about 3 seasons away from the playoffs, personally, maybe more depending on what moves they make next summer, free agency trades, things like that. So, next question is, what are 3 keys that will either make or break the Sixers season this year? Keith?
3 keys, meaning like things that they need to do, keys to the game.
Basically either 3 things that you think will benefit them or hinder them, things to kind of look for, like if they're going to be really good defensively and that's going to help them, or just something like that.
Well, I mean, the one major thing is, and I'm not talking about offense, defense, or any scheme. It's going to be chemistry, and what I mean by that is, here you go. You have 2 guys in Nerlens Noel and Jalil Okafor, who basically are on the trading block, and they're both coming back. So as much as they say, whatever they say, there are some hard feelings there. And guys are going to be upset because they know that they were about to be traded. Another thing is, how is Embiid going to deal with if he feels like he's happy enough, healthy enough rather, to play, and he's not getting those minutes, and he really wants to play? You know what I mean? So I think that somebody has to get traded now because they need to do it fast. That way they won't have a disgruntled locker room later on. So I think chemistry is huge, right? Other than that, they need to find a shooter. They need a consistent shooter. because these guys we're talking about. Yeah, Gerald Bayless could shoot, but these other guys like Ben Simmons, let's say Sergio. These all guys are good passers, but they don't have any shooters. Really, they don't have any like quality NBA like late in the game, I need a shooter type of shooter. They don't have that. And the third thing is just like leadership. They really need that. And I know that they got Gerald and they have Bayless and they have Elton Brand, but I think Elton has to be the alpha dog of the locker room. He has to be that guy because they have a lot of young guys and they really need leadership, and they're going to experience some things that they never experienced before. Talking about the new ones, as far as the losing, and they need some leadership.
Okay. What do you think, Gonzo? What are some keys for you?
Well, I'm not going to say anything's going to break them. I mean, they've been a lottery pick team for a while now, so they've been to the bottom. Only direction is up now. So, I'm going to go with chemistry first. Most definitely chemistry. Like they need to build that chemistry, you know what I'm saying, in order to be a good team. I'm gonna have to agree with Keith again. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. Leadership and defining the roles on the team. Finding out who's the leader, you know what I'm saying? Find out who's gonna be the defender on the team, who's gonna be the defenders, and what's gonna be the second unit coming off the bench. Just finding the roles of the team. And also health. I think health is very important. Maintaining health, managing the minutes, especially with Embiid. I want Embiid to be good. I pray to God. I hope he is exactly what they said he was going to be. I just want him to remain healthy, and it's kind of a scary thing. They do have to, and I understand why the Sixers are managing those minutes, and he shouldn't even question why they're managing his minutes because he should see himself that you've been injured for like 2 straight seasons. Just trust the process of the organization because you haven't been the most healthiest. So just follow what we're doing and just see how things are going to go in the future.
Okay. What do you think, Mike?
I'll go with chemistry first. That's an easy one just based on the fact that it's basically a whole new team. And you're trying to bring in that mode of, hey, we're done being losers. And I feel like it's like that LeBron's rookie year. You got a couple veteran pieces in the mix, but you want this next superstar to take that jump early in his career. But it's going to be hard taking them hits. And I really think they need to find that specialist. You talked about not having a consistent shooter. Get a specialist, something like an Anthony Morrow, knock down shots at any point in the game and turn around and even be able to play a little D. Not like that Novak type, just shoot and sit in the corner. You might be able to do some stretching out there in that East. But that's the first part. If you don't have that set of skills you can have the best driving power forward, getting in the lane, but nobody to make shots to stretch out that D, it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
Obviously, the chemistry, defining, I think, leadership, but Gonzo, the defining of the roles, I think, is big. And I want to say it was, I forgot who, I think it was Antonio Davis on Sirius XM. I want to say it was him, or it might have been Rick Mahorn, but they said, that's one of the biggest thing with these coaches is defining roles on the team so guys know where they stand. So I think that'll be big. And then also shooting, because you got so many of these big guys that you got Okafor, you got Noel, you got Embiid, all these guys down low. You've got to be able to spread that floor because it's going to be so clogged. They're going to be easy to guard. If you can't make shots, that lane is going to close up. They're going to be able to be defended very easily unless they get out in transition. Their half court the half court offense is going to be very suspect, I think, if they don't make shots. And that's why I think they'll probably keep Stauskas around, give him one last chance. More talent on the team, maybe that'll help. We'll see. But third, I think is health, like Gonzo said, especially Embiid, Simmons as well. I mean, you don't want the guy getting hurt. He's basically the franchise guy, so you don't want him getting hurt. So I think that's big.
Okay. You guys pretty much touched on everything I was gonna touch on. I want to do something real quick. We've got Jerry Brown in the chat, and he wants us to kind of break down. And Keith, I'm going to go specifically to you. What was the 76ers rationale for taking Ben Simmons over Brandon Ingram, as in his opinion, he thinks Ingram looks like a baby Kevin Durant?
Well, if you look at upsides, Ben Simmons is 6'10", 245. He can run the floor. He's a great passer. You look at Brandon Ingram and you see his size and you said, okay, he can be a mini Kevin Durant, but he's not there yet. He can shoot the ball, but I don't know if it's going to take him probably a while to get those shots off in the NBA like he did in college, just because he's so slender and he needs to get stronger. But if you look at someone like a Ben Simmons and you project 10 years from now, I think that in the Sixers' eyes, they felt as if that Ben Simmons would be more of a franchise player than Brandon Ingram. That's why they took him first overall. And another thing about Ben Simmons, a lot of people fail to realize when he was a junior, he was the number one player in the country, not the number one player in his class, but the country, like over Jalil Okafor and all those other guys. So, I think he's been projected to be number one for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in real quick before we go to the next question? Or?
It's an easy pick why you pick Ben Simmons. What you see, first of all, Ben Simmons' body, first of all, is more closer to being NBA ready than Brandon Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ingram is like 6'10", 6'11", like 160 pounds. Like, he's nowhere near being ready.
Is he lighter than KD was? And obviously, I'll be the first. KD to me, KD was way more refined as a basketball player coming out of Texas.
His shot was better. He had better.
He was a much better player.
He had nice post moves to be his size. I haven't seen a lot of post moves from Brandon Ingram. Now, don't get me wrong. I give him credit. Brandon Ingram had a lot of good games in fourth quarters as a college basketball player. I remember the game specifically against Duke. He pretty much carried Duke on his shoulders in the second half against North Carolina in North Carolina. I give him that. But Ben Simmons, he can pass, he can rebound. His shot isn't terrible close. He's actually okay close. We want him to develop his shot further out. But other than that, the guy can rebound, pass, and shoot close. You can develop the long, the mid-range and the long stuff. That'll come. But he has three abilities already from jump that can put him right now in the NBA game, and he can average 15 and 10 easily. I don't see that with Brandon Ingram. I think, first of all, his size, he's tall, but when he starts sticking NBA bodies, I think that might start to wear and tear on him. They only playing like 30 games in college, in the college regular season. NBA, they're playing 82 games. Ben Simmons' body is ready for that. I can't say Ingram's body's ready for that right now. So that's an easy decision. I'm choosing Ben Simmons. My grandmother would probably choose Ben Simmons first.
Yeah. It's funny because I've seen reports, and it's not going to happen, but I've seen reports where they were even contemplating having Brandon Ingram at the shooting guard because he weighs so little as far as the NBA body goes. And then you go the other way, people are like, oh, well, maybe he can slide into the power forward since they got Luol Deng. And I'm like, there's no way he'll get eaten alive. Basically all you got to do, a guard you get a Darren Williams down there, Darren Williams would post Brandon Ingram down, underneath the hoop where he couldn't do anything. So I think, overall just the intangibles that Ben Simmons brings to the game are far and above what Brandon Ingram brings to the game right now, and they're two totally different players. So you really can't compare them. It's like kind of comparing LeBron James back when he played, the ability to see the floor, pass, rebound, things like that, and then you had Carmelo Anthony, the natural scorer, and that's pretty much it. For him until he got to Syracuse, then he could, he was able to rebound, kind of bully his way down there. So it's more one-dimensional versus someone that is very versatile, able to play multiple positions. Because Brandon Ingram cannot play the point guard at all. So, but rolling into the next question, I want to talk about just kind of going back real quick to the glut of big men. It was rumored basically since the draft, actually probably going back to last year, with Okafor getting drafted to the Sixers. Basically, it's been out there that Okafor, Noel, Saric has even been thrown out there. Not sure if that's really valid or not, if they were going to trade him. Which guy, in your opinion, if they had to go, would be the easiest to lose as far as getting the most value back for them? And also, the second part of that question is, which one of the big men has the most value currently on the trade block? Keith, I'm going to go to you, and you don't have to go in full detail, so we don't have people putting you in flames for answering one guy or the other or anything like that. So
Yeah, I'll answer you. Ask. See, and I think initially everyone thought it was going to be Okafor. They thought that Okafor would be, because of his skill set. They thought that Okafor was going to be the one who had the highest value. However, when they were shopping around, people would take Okafor, but they really weren't trying to give up much. And a lot of that had to do with his defense. And everyone's thinking that the game has changed, like small ball. And the second thing is that it really scared people away. I don't know how much they're scared of it, but they just bring it up to lower the value. Is this off the court incidents that had happened? So then you look at the Nerlens Noel. So you say, okay, Nerlens can't shoot like Okafor. Nerlens is just a rim protector and he can run the floor. Well, a lot of teams like that because they feel as if that if you go small ball, you can still keep him in, so to speak, just because he's athletic enough to keep up, and all he does is run the floor and get alley-oops. So what the Sixers have found out is that a lot of teams have been, in some instances, more interested in Noel than they have been in Okafor. So, but I think that the Sixers, because of you got a Ben Simmons, that they probably think that they're not going to come out publicly and say it, but they're thinking like, well, maybe Noel will fit better with Ben because Noel doesn't have to be a superstar, whereas Okafor, he needs the ball. And then you look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons likes to distribute, and when he gives you the ball, he's expecting you to go up with it. Whereas Okafor surveys the land, does a spin move, and then goes up. So I think for the Sixers, they're not going to come out and publicly say it, but if I think that they would rather have Noel, but they're not saying it because Noel is getting a lot of looks. A lot of people are interested in him, and they may have to get rid of him.
okay, what do you think, Gonzo? Gonzo, you're still on mute.
I'm sorry. I said I think the person who has the biggest trade value out of the big men is Jahlil Okafor. I think because he can average 18 points a game, he's getting you 7 rebounds. A lot of people probably would say Nerlens Noel because he is athletic, he can run the floor, and most importantly, he can play defense. But I think that Jahlil Okafor is more polished offensively. And I think a lot of times people are going to use his off-the-field troubles to lower his trade value, so they won't have to give as much back. But I think Jahlil Okafor by far is the best big man who should get the most trade value. His offensive game is more polished. And I think defense is one of those things where I don't think defense isn't one of those things where you can't play defense. I think you just have to want to play defense. I think you're born with the offensive. You're born with being an offensive assassin, like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. You're born with that ability to score. That's a talent. But to play defense, I don't think talent is so much. Defense is so much of talent. I think you gotta want to do it. I think that's one of the things that made the Pistons so good back in the 90s. They wanted to play defense, team defense, individual defense, and it made them successful. They got 2 rings out of it. It's something you gotta want to do. And possibly, I think that if Jahlil got in the right situation and traded to a situation or to a team that actually likes to play team defense, and they taught him how to do it, if he's willing to do it, I think that it makes his value, worthwhile for the trade.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those points, but as far as defense goes, if they have to convince you to do that and you're getting paid for it, that only brings your value down. But along with his off the court problems, it's also that knee health. He wasn't the most explosive athlete coming out, period. And now he's got a little meniscus issue that missed a couple months worth of basketball. That's going to be hard to keep driving that up, even though his value is high as it is. But also, like if you put Nerlens Noel on the block, you know you're not going to give up that much to begin with, even though he was a high round draft pick. You still already sit there and see it like he's not going to put up these crazy numbers. We can get lucky with like a Bismack Biyombo or somebody that play D like that, like Birdman, because them the kind of guys that are making it now and getting these big deals in the off season. But if I'm gonna have to give up, some people think the farm for Okafor because he can get 18 on the block, when on the other end he can't help me out much. It kind of makes it a give and take about his value's really high, but is it the highest that it could be? Because I really think Nerlens will grab a lot of attention because he's not going to demand that much on the table as far as the trade goes. And what are you going to get back for it?
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think Noel's probably the easiest one for him to trade because, I mean, a guy like him, you can pretty much put him on any team. He's going to run the floor. He's going to play defense. He's not going to demand the ball. You give it to him, he's going to catch alley-oops. Kind of like DeAndre Jordan. Kind of like a guy like that, Tyson Chandler, guys like that. They can play for anybody. But I think with Okafor, I think it's kind of I think he got a raw deal on that. Because he had a couple issues. I mean, you figure 19 years old, 20 years old, never been on a losing team in his entire life. All these things in Philly, he's got money. I mean, if you look at his history, he does not have a history of getting into trouble. And so I think that's – but, of course, other teams will use that just so they don't have to pay as much to get him. But I think a guy like him just has to be on the right team. Like, in all honesty, you won't get a lot. But I think someone like a team like the Spurs, put him on the Spurs, see what he can do, play under Greg Popovich. But what are you going to get from the Spurs for Okafor? That would be the problem. But I think that's the thing. With the way he plays, though, I think the Spurs put him there.
Yeah. Just to wrap up the question, I think with Okafor, to me, he's more expendable because, and I say this because Embiid's back there. If Embiid can show offensive prowess and, of course, be able to block shots and stay healthy, going into next season, I mean, basically, you don't have to worry about the offensive end if you've got Embiid, so you can let Okafor go get a little bit more, get some shooters in there, get some younger guys. You've got Noel as that rim protector because Ben Simmons is not protecting that rim at power forward. And then Okafor right now is not a rim protector. And to be honest, I don't know transitionally can he be more than an average team defender. He's not going to be a good individual defender. Right now, Noel is already a rim protector and can grow even more on the defensive end. He's never going to be a scorer, and I don't think that's what the Sixers envision for him anyway. So he can play that role as defensive stopper, and then you hand the keys over to Embiid next year to start at the center spot anyway. So get what you can for Okafor and move on, in my opinion. Last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. What is one bold prediction for the 76ers this year? Keith, I'm going to go to you first.
One bold prediction for the 76ers this year.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. That they will. This is crazy. That they'll beat the Nets 3 out of 4. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard with the Sixers. I mean, the only prediction you'll say is, that Ben Simmons, that I think of as Ben Simmons, will get Rookie of the Year. Or another one, I think that they'll trade one of the bigs by the end of before December. I think maybe Nerlens Noel or Jalil Okafor will be traded in November.
Okay. What do you think, Gonzo? What's a bold prediction?
I was gonna say Ben Simmons, rookie of the year, but that's not really a bold prediction to me. I think that he will be. I mean, he's polished. I think he most definitely probably the best out of his draft class. I'm gonna go with they won't be the worst two. They won't be the bottom two teams in the East.
Okay. So we know Brooklyn's going to be one of them. So what's your other team that's going to be at the bottom if you want to spoil it? If not, it's okay.
I don't know, man. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I think could be the bot, could be the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know.
Ooh, okay.
Charlotte Hornets.
Okay.
Miami.
Orlando.
Miami. Oh, that's an excellent. As a matter of fact, take that back. Put Miami.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, that's a good one. Excellent.
Okay.
I think Orlando got a better shot of being in that dumpster with the Nets than Miami.
I'm rolling to you, Mike. So what do you think is as far as a bold prediction?
Bold prediction. I'm gonna just go out way on the edge and say that Embiid makes the rookie team.
Man, you stole mine. That was going to be mine. Man, I had a waiting too, but that's all right.
That's as bold as it gets right there.
Yeah.
Hey,
you never know that full year off after that foot surgery, and besides them workouts and all that, you hear about him being more healthy than expected and not having these setbacks anymore, and actually being ready to go. You know, I think he might actually play more than 60 games, put out some effort, make that all rookie team.
mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think, Matt? What's a bold prediction?
I'm going to say this. Like I said, 25 was my prediction. So I'm going to say 25 to 30 wins. But here's my bold prediction: they still get the number one pick in the lottery. The fortune comes their way again, and they get the number one pick in the lottery.
Nice.
Tank can get Dennis Smith.
There you go. Well, Mike, you threw mine out there to be on the rookie team for Embiid. So, I don't really have anything else. I mean, my other one was going to be that Okafor is traded by December 15th, but Keith already.
That counts. You gave an exact date, Pete.
I'm saying by December 15th. So I mean, that's not too bad, because basically that opens up any guys that signed in the summer to be able to be dealt. So it's not like an exact science there. It's not like you're Thon Maker at number 10 a month before the draft.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens for the Sixers, and I'm definitely excited this season. Of course, as a hometown fan, and I'll definitely be watching them, throughout the season. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for us. And Keith, I want to thank you, man, for taking the time to be on with us. I know you got a busy schedule. If you could do me a favor, let the people know where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me on at Philly.com, and you can find me on Twitter at Pompey on Sixers.
Okay, great, good. And just to let everybody know, if they want to check out a replay of this show or any of our other podcasts, you can download us on iTunes under Podcasts, Unquestionably Raw, or you can hit us up on the YouTube page and find us there. Also want to let everybody know, check us out again this Friday night. Yes, 2K is coming out Friday for all you NBA 2K17 fans, but you can break away for 30 minutes. We're previewing the Orlando Magic with Keith Smith of RealGM.com at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks again, everybody, for watching.